would be great. Thank you. All right. So Maria was brought to us by Jeff. Thank you so much, Jeff. She has a full service organizing company, so she handles everything from the last 2-inch tall stack of paper you don't know where to file to fully hoarded homes. She works with clients in the home as well as clients who are around the world. She's written 2 books on hoarding and has 2 more due out this year. She also speaks about hoarding at conferences around the world. There are many ways she can help realtors, remodeling companies, etc., by working with clients in the home to prepare the home for sale. So that is our introduction of Maria. Maria, how did you get into doing what it is that you do?
Well, unlike a lot of people you see on TV and things like that who talk about how they've been organized since they were born, that was not me. I was always a bit of a mess. And I finally got tired of having to hunt for things and having it, how much time it takes up and how much harder it is to clean and all of that when you've got stuff out everywhere. So I started with my house, and then my friends asked me how I did it. So then I started helping them. And then their friends started asking them how they did it. And that's when my 4F rule kicks in, which is you don't work for friends of friends for free unless you're a fool. And I try not to be a fool more than once a day. So I went ahead and started working as a professional organizer part-time. And that was over 30 years ago. And now I run a pretty decent business with a whole bunch of organizers that work for me.
And running the business with the organizers that work for you, what does that look like? Where do your typical referrals come from?
Referrals for clients come from my website a lot, especially if they have to deal with code compliance and they're looking for somebody who can handle anything. I also get clients through therapists and word of mouth. I do have a couple of realtors over the years that I've worked with quite extensively, but it's not a large portion, surprisingly, of what we do. We wind up working a lot through attorneys as well, especially for state work. Trustees, executors, that kind of stuff.
Did you say at first from online as well?
Mm-hmm. A lot of times we get people through the website just because there aren't that many companies out there that are as full service as we are. So, somebody who wants to downsize might have us come in to help them figure out what items are moving to the new house and then help them get rid of the stuff that's left behind. Or maybe they live in Maine and now their aunt died who has a house here. And so we handle everything for them here. So they're going to look online first to try to find the right company that's going to be a good fit for them. And then I go out, I do an initial assessment and see what's really going on. And that's when we get down to the nitty gritty of explaining what's going to happen and how it's going to work.
And I know I asked you this before we started because I just was curious. If someone wanted to know, I mean, I guess that anyone could call themselves an organizer, but I know that you belong to different professional organizations. And I would assume someone isn't going to spend the time, energy, and resources to do that unless they
Right.
are good at what they do and do that. So if any of our realtors were looking for an organizer for their clients, either in their area or perhaps a client here is going to be moving from up north and coming down here or down here and going up north, and they were looking for an organizer in the place that they're coming to or from, what would be those sites? How would we find somebody besides through our BNI network and know that they were a professional organizer?
Yeah, anybody can say they're a professional organizer. There is no major credentialing exam like a bar exam type of thing for organizers. However, there are 2 associations and there are certifications. So there's NAPO, NAPO, and that's the National Association of Professional Organizing Experts. Sorry, productivity and organizing experts. So we changed our name just a few years ago, and I still get hung up on it. And there's the ICD, the Institute for Challenging Disorganization. And both of them have zip code searches. So you can go onto the website, plug in your zip code and a radius, and it will tell you who is a member or a subscriber within that radius. The certifications you would want to look for, and not every amazing organizer has a certification, and not every certified person is perfect, but if they have either a CPO, Certified Professional Organizer, or CPO-CD after their names, it means that they've committed to getting education, they've taken exams, etc. And they have to do continuing education to keep their certifications. So that's usually a good idea, a good way to know that this person is serious about their job and they're staying on the cutting edge of what's happening. So I would look for those certifications as well.
And then you said that you get a lot of referrals from probate trustees, estate planning attorneys. Those are the same people that a lot of us, get referral business from. So it seems like even if there hasn't been perhaps a lot of collaboration between you and realtors in the past, that there's the opportunity for synergy there.
Mhm.
How would a realtor best connect with you, and who are the people in addition to the probate guardianship and elder law attorneys that they could introduce you to that would be a good, good resources for you?
Well, the good thing for us is, how do I phrase this? I'm sorry. Good referrals for us is anybody who gets overwhelmed by their stuff. Now, I know because you're in real estate, you've dealt with people that have said, oh, my house will be ready to be on the market in a month. And then when you check in with them, it's going to be another month or two, and then it's another month or two. And sometimes you don't get people that actually pull the trigger and get their house ready for a year or longer. The advantage of working with an organizer is because they have appointments with us, they actually get the work done. Getting organized is one of the things that always falls off the bottom of your to-do list. And it does for me too. I don't spend as much time on my own house as I should sometimes because it's not a whole lot of fun. Let's be honest. So when they know that I'm coming over, that time is set aside so the work actually gets completed. So if you tell me, either an estate or just somebody who's trying to list their house, that we want this due date, then I can work with the client and help them meet that date for you. So that's a big part of working with an organizer. It's that commitment that the person makes to the work. Now, every organizer is a little bit different. We're full service. A lot of them are specialists. They will do specific kinds of organizing. So you're going to have to dig down and make sure they're going to cover what you want. Estate organization is a little bit different because at least here in Virginia, the rules change the day the person dies. So some things that are deductible before are not deductible after. There's some things that have to be done in certain ways before and have to be done in different ways after. So you're going to want to make sure when you talk to the organizer that they are up on exactly what happens during that transition. Because there's been a number of clients I've had that were in hospice care and then passed away mid-organizing. So you need to have somebody who understands what's going on with that. So anyone who works with anybody who's getting overwhelmed, either because they're trying to get moved out, they're having extra stressors in their life, like an ill spouse, anybody who has mental health issues that are aiding to the cluttering problem. So for example, I work with clients that a lot of organizers won't, because I'll take a client who has bipolar disorder or who has schizoaffective disorder or a lot of other things that contribute to the clutter, including hoarding. Most organizers off the cuff don't take hoarding clients because there's a mental health component. So that's one of those things where I have a lot of therapists that refer clients to me. Some are long distance and some are local. The long distance ones, obviously, I can't physically go and move the boxes for them, but I can walk them through the process. And I support a lot of other organizers who are working with those clients that don't have a lot of experience. So other professional organizers are also good referrals for me, both so that I can help them if they need it. And sometimes we get so busy that when I get a regular client call and say, I want to clean out my master closet for the spring, I'm like, I can't fit you in for 2 months. I like having organizers that work with lower level clients on my roster that I can refer. So organizers are great. Funeral homes are good because families don't know what to do. You know, they have just buried mom, dad, or auntie, and they're left with this house full of stuff. They don't know what to do. And even if they're not local to me, I can walk them through the process and make sure that they're crossing all of their T's and dotting their I's. So did that answer your question?
It does.
Okay, good.
So it sounds like, you know, in addition to probate guardianship and elder law attorneys, that mental health professionals, other organizers, funeral homes, of everybody that works in the senior space
Mhm,
or the mental health space would be good introductions
mhm.
for you.
In-home caregivers as well, because sometimes they have to make changes to how the house is laid out for the person to age in place. So that's one I forgot, I'm sorry.
And how does your process work? So somebody, let's say that a realtor called you and they told you, okay, we have an estate, the people have passed away, and we need someone to come in and empty out this
Mhm.
home. What does that, what does it look like from that point
Okay.
forward? What's your process?
So first I have to talk to either the trustee or the executor, the person who has the legal right to dispose of the tangible personal property within the home. So once I talk to that person, I set up an appointment to go and look at the home. And then once I see what the scope is and what we need to do, I can start laying out timeframes. Then I get some of my teams in there. We generally will work, most of our living clients, there's only going to be 1, 2, or 3 people there. But when it's an estate, we can put a lot more people into the home. So we've put in teams as big as 10 and 12 into a home to go through. We check every item to make sure that there's nothing in the pockets. Because, you know, if I'm out with my husband on a date night, I might take off, you know, my earrings or a necklace or something and stick it in a jacket pocket. So before I donate that jacket, I want to make sure there's nothing in there of value. We can do photo inventories and send pictures of things to the family members. They can decide what they want. We can handle all the paperwork. We can call everything. We can digitize stuff. So we go through and we handle all of the tangible personal property however it is they want, with lots and lots of communications both ways. We send photos all along the way so they know what's going on. And then when it's done, if the person wants, we can supervise any repairs that are being made. Sometimes people are not fond of having a lockbox because it advertises that the house is empty. So they would prefer that we be there and we basically babysit the repairmen. If that's going to be the case, then we leave things like paperwork there so we have something to work on while they're there. So we're not just sitting twiddling our thumbs or playing games on our phones. But we can do, you know, as much or as little as they want. We're kind of like the family member uh, in town that everybody expects to get the work done, but we actually have the time to do it. And so when the whole thing is all wrapped up, then everybody will get final photos to show that the house is empty and ready for sale.
Perfect. Final question from me, and then I'm going to open it up for questions.
Mhm.
If a realtor wanted to create a relationship with you or someone that does what you do, what would be the best way for us to connect with you?
Okay. Well, for me personally, I can go ahead and pop my information into the chat. You also had a slide, I think, that I sent to Jeff that had my contact information. But I'll put it in the chat. That'll be fine. And then if it's someone that's near you, I would really recommend that before you need them, you sit down and you talk to them about what their policies and procedures are. Because the one thing that's horrible is there tends to be communication problems along the way. I've either had a realtor who tells me, okay, this needs to be ready to hit the market in a month. And then the first day we're there, they're already like, well, why isn't it done? Well, you gave me a month. Yeah, but you should be done, faster than that. Or they fall off the planet and we're trying to ask them questions about what they need in terms of getting staged. We don't do the staging, but who they want to have stage it, etc. And they never get back to us. So building that communication early and explaining how you want to be communicated with. Do you want emails? Do you want texts? Do you want phone calls? Do you want to know when we're there? All of those kinds of things will really help speed up the process in an intelligent way. So I would recommend that you go onto the websites, find an organizer, and then talk about how to communicate and get that all set up in advance. It makes life so much better for everybody.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And I would like to now open it up to questions.
I
None.
don't think any hands at the moment, but I'll just throw one out there. Oh, there's Maggie has a hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, do you have any sustainable solutions for getting rid of items? Because that's like, it's always such a waste.
Mhm.
What do
Yeah.
you recommend for that?
Yeah, one of the things you should talk to your local organizer about is what connections they have and how they're going to handle stuff. Because there are some people that just throw everything out. We don't like to do that. We like to donate as much as possible. So I have a book that my organizers have with where to donate different things like medical equipment, how to sell military equipment, gems, jewelry. We have an eBay seller, all this kind of stuff because we want to sell as much as we can if that's what the family wants, and then donate as much as we can. As little goes to the incinerator as possible. And then what can't be incinerated obviously goes to landfill. But we do our best to make sure that we're as clean as we can be. And we work with companies that also, hauling companies that believe in the recycling and things too, so that we try to keep as much out of the landfill as possible.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Vicky.
Vicky, yeah.
So I'm sure this is based on from client to client, but can you give an idea of how is the fee structure handled?
Okay.
Is it an hourly? Is it you come in and do an assessment of what their needs are, and is it by project base or?
That's all depends on the organizer. So there are organizing companies that are project based, but if that's the case, then they don't want the clients involved in any of the decision making because that slows the process down so that they wind up making less per hour. We happen to be hourly because the more the client or the family does, the less it costs them. Plus, if they want us to add in a service, it's just however long that additional service would be, like digitizing, that kind of stuff. So we prefer hourly because the client has more control over the money. And a lot of times with an estate, the executor or the trustee will give us a retainer, which we spend down, and then they get a monthly statement that shows where every dime has gone. We can pay for the hauling trucks out of that and everything. And then at the end, if there's any balance, they get that returned to them. So it saves a lot of check writing or credit cards and things like that. But we have found that it's better for our clients to go hourly. Plus, if I bring in more assistants, it's less per man hour than if it's just like an organizer plus one assistant.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Great question. Maria, I just love kind of stories. Do you have any either great stories where you won the day for a client, or any horror stories that will just make people laugh or cry or remember?
I have some really good stories, but I don't think they're appropriate for general Zoom call. Well, right now we're working with a client that has decided that he is going to donate a library when he dies. So he buys somewhere in the realm of $200 to $300 worth of books every week. And he has been doing this for 30 years. And all those books are in his house. So we are trying to convince him that nobody wants just an entire truckload of library books dumped on their doorstep to create a library from scratch. but he is determined that that is not the case. So he has started putting garland over the boxes of books that we've packed. So now he's decorating the boxes, just so he knows that those are the ones that are done, but also because he's feeling really festive about how well the job is going. So we're getting other things out of the house instead of the books. But I work with some very interesting people. That's one reason why I specialize in hoarding, to be honest with you. For me personally, the run-of-the-mill, let's reorganize the spice cabinet is not as exciting as when I walk into a house that is just chock-a-block full of stuff and I never know what I'm going to find. So for me, every day is a treasure hunt. And sometimes the treasure hunt's just a square foot of carpet that I find. But sometimes I find things where the client's like, that was my mother's. I've been looking for that for years, and they start to cry. And that just makes my heart feel so good, and I know that every time I'm in a client's house, I'm making their life better. Not by a lot some days, but it's always a little bit better.
I have to ask before we go to breakout, what is like the craziest thing that you ever, I watch Extreme Hoarders sometimes and there's cats and I mean, just like crazy. So what is like the strangest or craziest thing you've ever
Well, the
found?
scariest thing I ever found was a body. So there you go. I found a mummy in a box in the attic. It was a real person. That was the creepiest thing. I had one apartment. We spent 96 hours working in a 1-bedroom apartment, if that gives you an idea of just how packed that was. And it was almost all paper. But by the time we were done, and I estimated the stocks at $1 per share, even though they were precious metal stocks, and the gold at the current rate at the time, etc., it was approximately $21 million worth of stuff in hard currency and stocks, bonds, etc., in this little tiny 1-bedroom apartment. So that was pretty cool. I wish that was the day I wish I worked on commission. But other than that, but we also don't accept tips. So even if I'd been offered one, I couldn't have taken it. But I really wish my policy hadn't been that day. But it was fun with the attorney because I took this duffel bag. And so I first started pulling out things like rolled pennies and loose change. And he's just like, what the heck is this? I'm like, well, it's not mine, it's yours. You have to deal with it. And I started pulling out silver bars and gold Krugerrands and all this stuff. And his eyes just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It was a lot of fun.
Very cool. Thank you so much.
You are welcome.
Maria, I just one more quick one.
Sure.
I've enjoyed some of your presentations I've seen visually sometimes, and maybe I'll talk to Ellen, we can bring you back. But I remember you talking about finding valuables in painted mayonnaise jars in the fridge.
Yes.
Can you tell just a couple of those kind of fun hidden things where you found things?
They're called diversion safes, if you want to look them up. There's all kinds of ways to hide money. Everybody knows, you put cash in a book, but you can drill in the top of a door and put a film canister into it, which has money or jewelry or something in it. My favorite one, however, you have to buy. It looks like a head of lettuce, and so you keep it in your fridge. So who's going to pick up raid the fridge and pull out a head of lettuce if they're stealing your house? But the man had been dead for 3 months. So I was like, there should not be this bright green head of lettuce in his fridge. And so I pulled it out and I opened it up and I took all the money out of it. But this is the same man who had yogurt cups in his freezer to make giant ice cubes. And I'm like, knowing this guy, I don't believe this. So I put paper towels in a colander and I emptied these giant ice cubes into the colander and then we left. When we came back 3 days later, there were diamonds on the paper towels. So you never know. You got to know where to look in order to find this stuff.
So pretty cool. Finding hidden
and this
value.
wasn't my $21 million place. This was a different guy.
Okay, awesome. Well, everybody, thank you so much for being here. We're going to go to breakout rooms to discuss what you learned. Do you currently have a relationship with a professional organizer? How could you benefit both yourself, your clients going forward? And I'm going to do, I think, 3 breakout rooms. So we have about 4 or 5 people per, and we're going to do about 10 minutes. So opening the rooms now.
I saw that. That's awesome.
Vicky,
Yeah.
how have we not met yet? We totally have. We're
Oh
not
my
that far.
I know this. It's
We gotta do
crazy,
it.
Heather. It's going on the calendar.
Yes.
Are you guys physically like close?
It's only like a 2-hour drive. Well, Vicky's got more traffic than me, but around a 2-hour drive.
Yeah, depends on what time of day I leave, but yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I went to uh, Ohio this weekend for a basketball tournament, and I didn't realize the Cincinnati airport is actually in Kentucky or whatever, or at least the one that I flew into. And yeah, so everything is all interconnected.
Yeah.
But Vicky, Vince, tell us, it sounds like you guys have some probates popping up now.
Yeah, I'm working with 3 people right now, which is really interesting. And I've done this in the past, but it wasn't really until you guys started this mastermind that I decided, and I had these coming up at the same time, that I decided, you know what? This is an area that I'm going to focus in on. And like you mentioned, Jeff, you know, the 3 branches of where your business comes from. I really want to grow this branch. And for one, I'm really I don't know, I feel like some of our elders just get taken advantage of, that I just want to be a resource, you know, for them, for that. So that's my deal.
Did you do anything special to attract those recent deals?
No, I didn't. They were past client referrals. Yeah, one of them is a client's mother passed away and she has to deal with her estate, and it's gotten really messy because the sister has taken up residency and now they have to go through an eviction. I've got another one who it was from a older past client, and they're still in probate, and it's been about 6 months. So actually that's one that, Ellen, maybe you can give me some advice. I'm trying to figure out what can I do to deliver value. I've offered for them to meet with my organizer. That's one thing I've done. You know, I'm encouraging, you know what, we know what happens with a home that sits vacant. You know, just what can we do to kind of keep helping them move this process a little bit faster?
Can you not sell a home in probate where you are?
No.
We can sell a home in probate and the judge just has to sign off on it, and they can always put the money. It doesn't mean that the money has to be distributed as per, you know, it could go into a trust account. So
Or
currently,
maybe I better look into that,
yeah, so
because I don't think.
we don't have to wait. Currently, I got a call from a probate attorney that I work with a lot, and they had a plane crash. And husband and wife were killed, and I picked up the keys and went into the house, and I saw photos of a young couple with a young child in these little shoes. And I called the attorney and I said, you know, please tell me that the child wasn't in the plane, but he was. It was a small, it wasn't a commercial flight. And so the family is coming over from Spain and they're waiting to get the cremains before, and then take things from the home before we're listing it. So I'm going over with the auction company and seeing what we could have removed for staging and just kind of coming up with a plan for them. But until they receive the cremains, they're not coming over. So she said it could still be several weeks. So I'm just reaching out and seeing what I can do in the meantime, I offered to get it cleaned. They had animals, so it's like an animal smell to it. Getting some pricing and some of the DJ equipment and stuff like that. It was heartbreaking going in those little shoes are like haunted.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
I would say like, just like Maria, somebody like her or some of these other resources are people that you can say that, hey, we can get these people involved. Maybe there's not a sale yet, but anything that these other people are doing. And even I often just proactively, I'll get quotes on flooring or painting or a bunch of things that no matter what will help. And it's up to them if they decide to take on that expense. But look,
Right.
I'm working for you, in the meantime.
Thank you. I did that as well. I got painting quotes for them, and I don't usually work with an organizer. I have my own, which doesn't mean that that's not a really good idea. It's just something that I haven't done before. But I have an auction company that I'll have come in and I'll ask, let's get a bunch of stuff removed. It's heavily furnished, and see if we can get them a few dollars and have it
Yeah,
more.
I do work with an organizer, and this was really helpful because now I'm going to go back and sit down with her and just get really clear on what she does. So yeah, that was great.
I also thought, since those are good referral sources for them, the estate planning attorneys, that we would be good. I mean, probably they know a lot of estate planning attorneys we don't, and conversely that we do, that they don't. So for introductions back and forth.
Right.
Vince, how about you?
Well, thanks for allowing me to be part of this mastermind. I do have my SRES, which is the Senior Real Estate Specialist Certified, and we've created like a power team. So I have like an estate planner, I have like a caring transition they do a lot of that organizing and moving, plus like Medicare, home, and we actually do seminars at different senior centers, once a quarter. We were trying to get up to once a month, and that's where we've been able to get some traction and getting some follow up in building the database, and then putting out newsletters with stuff that SRES sends out, as well as different having those other vendors to be able to give those referrals and we came up with a name, Senior Services Alliance, to say, hey, we're your one-stop shop, anything related to seniors.
I like that.
Vince, who makes up your power team for your chapter? What seats?
Well, so it's not just people in BNI, it's a lot of people in BNI, but we have an estate planner, probate, an estate planner, probate lawyer. We have somebody that does like long-term care, like disability. We have a Medicare broker. We have home healthcare provider, and we have a hospice person. And then there's a person that's specializes in different services. So he like contracts with VA and knows like of the different transitions, like places to go once they want to downsize or right size. And then we're constantly trying to add people like handymen that don't, the handymen and other painters and stuff don't necessarily come out to the events, for the Senior Services Alliance, but they're in the roster, so that, hey, you need a handyman, here's our vetted. So it's a group of vetted, people that if you need different services, one of the other that we need to add is a funeral home, because somebody mentioned that.
Yeah.
So that you can have from the beginning to the end, and then you can, give them those resources.
A Medicaid planning attorney might also be, I don't know if you have a connection with a Medicaid planning attorney, but you can still own a home and qualify for Medicaid, so that could be an additional person who would power to.
On two
Plus
sides. of that-
the lender too for the eight, because here we have the home equity conversion mortgage that we can do, that way they can take up and get one loan. So that's another person that's in the pot.
That's a good one, like the reverse. I've also had good luck getting referrals from a guy who does pre death event planning. Apparently, it can be like a third of the cost, but all right.
Hi, Jose.
Go ahead, Ellen.
No, I just said hi to Jose. I saw his.
And actually, just to buy us a minute of time, I think Jose and Scott, or actually Scott had to go. Jose, if you want to do a 30 seconds really quick, we do have time. And then anybody else from your breakout room, if you want to put a hand up, any good shares from the breakout rooms. So Jose, you got 30 seconds.
Jose Fernandez, Keller Williams Realty in Miami. I'm late because my parents moved in a week ago. So today was the second time I had to take them to a doctor's appointment. So trying to get to the new lifestyle. Again, in business for 20 years and definitely working with seniors and helping seniors. And Maria was in our group, so great stories that she got to share. It was very interesting.
Awesome. Great job, Jose. Under 30 seconds easily. Anybody want to put a digital hand or a physical hand up for anything to share from the breakout rooms? I will, while I don't see any hands yet, I'm going to see if I can force share Vince to talk. Vince had a cool talk about a kind of a focused power team he's got. So Vince, could you tell the room about that, please?
Sure. We created an alliance called Senior Services Alliance, where we have a group of vetted vendors, probate, Medicare, lending, hospice. There's and plus organizer slash caring transitions, and we do quarterly events at different centers to go through the lifestyle process. So no matter where they are in their journey, we have people that can help them through different processes. And then once we get the information, we put them in their shared database, and then have different drip campaigns with newsletters and stuff. But it's been a good journey. We've started getting some traction with it, and looking forward to building that as part of my stuff. One of those 4 legs that everybody talks about.
Awesome. Thank you, Vince. Maggie has her hand up.
Okay, Maria, you got to share that dead body story because it's I'm not sleeping ever again. Everybody else needs to hear it.
This call is being recorded now. Okay, Maggie.
Yeah, I don't think if they want to hear it, they can listen to the recording. I don't
Okay,
wanna
okay.
ruin everybody's day.
Okay,
It was weird though.
very.
And now I'm just like, this is suspense. I have. Okay. Anybody else with something to share about working with an organizer or different circumstances? I think it's amazing the extra boots on the ground. If we're doing our job right, hopefully we have our own, value of our time in our business, and to have a professional who knows what they're doing jump in there and make you look even better because you have this team like Vince talked about. So anybody else with a share before we go to one final breakout room? Okay, man, not too talkative today. Well, I'm going to recreate the breakout rooms. And if I have my math right here, we got 12. I'm not counting April, 13, 14, 15. Oh, this is weird math. So what is that? Is that 7 rooms? All but one should have 2 people. So please say hello and make an appointment on the calendar, not right now, but for the future, to do a one-to-one. So you will get to know somebody else better and get credit for a one-to-one as well. Make sure I did this right. No robots anywhere. Oh, I've got to move. I'm going to move one person.
You should probably take me out.
Yes. Okay. I'll do that. I'll do that. How do I do that? Okay. I need a class on Zoom. Sorry. Well, that's what I'll do. Move David to 3 and move. I don't know. Maria's got her own room. Okay. Go. Okay. Yes, it worked. Woo. Okay, Maria, you don't have to do anything. Thank you. This was fun. I learned something. I think I know you as a person and consider you a friend. I even know where you live, but
You do.
but I didn't know that you had written 2 books and have 2 more on the way.
Yep.
Who is the end user of those? Are those things that I can gift people, or are those things that I should read and learn myself?
Well, the first book that I wrote was for law enforcement and other public people who were first going into a home and didn't know what they were walking into. The second book is this one. This one's written for friends and family. So it's a practical guide to hoarding for friends and family. So this is for people who know the person, or it's them themselves if they don't admit it. And it explains things to them. So I have a lot of people who gift this one, where they've got a friend who says, well, my sister's hoarding, so they'll gift that to the friends, to the sister. The 2 that are coming out are supplements to this last one. One for therapists and one for professional organizers. Because the therapists need to know stuff that the family members don't care about. And they don't need to know stuff that the law enforcement does. So, I had to really put the different things to the different audiences.
Would there be anything that that you would give to, like, say I get a new estate client, would there be anything that, whether you wrote or somebody else wrote, that I would like mail to them in Boston and say this could be valuable in this process, because hopefully you don't have loved ones die all the time?
Well, if they're shocked by the fact that the place is hoarded, or they mention that somebody in their family, their house looks just as bad, you could say, well, I happen to know a book by a hoarding specialist that's written for regular people.
Okay.
Would you be interested? It's not really the kind of hey, I read this cool book, I'm giving it to you for Christmas. It's not that kind of a book.
Right.
But I write the way I speak. So it's not written in educational tome kind of method. It's written with a lot of stories, and it explains things for regular folks.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, that is tough. A lot of specialists in any industry, there's a jargon and it doesn't equate to lay speak. So that's nice.
Yeah, I mean, I took this to an editor, and he to see about having him edit my book, and he wanted to rewrite it basically into edu-speak. And I was just like, no, I don't want this to sound like a textbook. I want it to sound like I'm sitting at the other end of the couch talking to you and explaining stuff to you. So I basically said, so much for professional editing. And we went through several rounds of it ourselves,
I'm sure there's a purpose
there's
for
nothing
textbooks.
worse than trying to slog through.
Yeah, but nobody enjoys them.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, therapists are used to reading that kind of stuff, so it's normal for them.
Okay.
So their supplement includes a lot of the references for what articles things came from and what the studies were and that kind of stuff.
Professional journals or those things. Okay.
Yeah. But the practical guide is for regular folks, because they're the ones that need the help the most.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to teach people everywhere that I can, and having only a limited amount of time and physical ability to go places, I wrote the books.
Okay, awesome.
Sorry, everybody's back. I'll shut up now.
So reminder to everybody that Maria put her information in the chat, or you can contact myself as well to find out more or how to connect with her. But I found out that she has written 4 books, one that was sort of a guide for police officers and those professionals as they enter a deceased home. Another was for hoarders or people who might know someone who has a hoarding issue, and then one for therapists and one for other professional organizers. So very interesting. And then also great thing is they're written in a better, easier way to understand versus some other materials. But Ellen, I'll throw it back to you to close this out.
Sure. I just looked, and the fourth Monday of May is Memorial Day. So Jeff and I will talk and we'll figure out what we're going to do about that, and we will let everybody know. So we will circle back. And does anybody have, well, I have a testimonial for someone in the group, which is Heather Listar. I came to North Carolina, and Heather was kind enough to drive an hour and a half to meet me, which I really, really appreciated. And we had a great one-on-one. So it was a pleasure to meet her and her husband, and just a